Good? You want more?
That works for me. If you're interested.
No, I was just making sure that you were good.
Yeah.
I can start. Do you need me to do these?
Yeah, if you want.
There you are. Hi. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. Oh. Yep. Yeah.
It all sounds fine. It all sounds great.
Thank you.
Oh goodness gracious.
I'll give you another one.
let's introduce ourselves.
I'm Brittany. I'm Tiffany.
Anytime you're feeling anxious, come up to these microphones and feel free to breathe. won't be long till the wrong song comes on at the right time. You're as good as gold. I'm as good as gone. You all want to hear a story? All right. The story of Jerry and the dog. What I'm going to tell you has something to do with how sometimes it's necessary to go a long distance out of the way in order to come back a short distance correctly. Or maybe I only think that it has something to do with that, but it's why I went to the zoo today and why I walked northerly rather, till I came here. All right, the dog, I think I told you, is a black monster of a beast. An oversized head, tiny ears and eyes, bloodshot, infected maybe, and a body you can see the ribs through the skin. The dog is black, all black, except for the red shot eyes. And yes, in an open sore on its right forepaw. That is red too, and yes, the poor monster, and I do believe it is an old dog. It's certainly misused. There's a gray, yellow, white color too, where he bares his fangs, which is what he did the first time he saw me, the day I moved in. I worried about that animal the very first minute I met him. Now, animals don't talk to me like St. Francis had birds hanging off him all the time. What I mean is animals are indifferent to me, like people, most of the time. But this dog wasn't indifferent. From the very beginning, he'd snarl and then go for me to get one of my legs. Not like he was rabid, you know. He was sort of a stumbly dog, but he wasn't half-assed either. It was a good stumbly run, but I always got away. He got a piece of my trouser leg. Look, you can see right here, where it's mended. He got that the second day I lived there. But I kicked free and got upstairs fast, so that was that. I still don't know how, to this day, the other roomers manage it, but you know what I think? I think it only had to do with me. Cozy? So anyway, that went on for over a week. Whenever I came in, but never when I went out. That's funny. Or it was funny. I could pack up and live in the street for all the dog cared. Well, I thought about it in my room one day, one of the times after I bolted upstairs, and I made my mind. I decided first I'll kill the dog with kindness, and if that doesn't work, then I'll just kill him. So the next day I went out and bought a bag of hamburgers, medium rare, no ketchup, no onion, and on the way home I threw away all the rolls and kept just the meat. When I got back to the rooming house, the dog was waiting for me. I half opened up the door that led into the entrance hall, and there he was, waiting for me. It figures. I went in very cautiously, and I had the hamburgers, you remember. I opened the bag. I set the meat down about 12 feet from where the dog was snarling at me, like so. He snarled, stopped snarling, sniffed, moved slowly, then faster towards the meat. Well, then, when he got it, he stopped and he looked at me. I smiled, but tentatively, you understand. He turned his face back to the hamburgers, smelled, sniffed some more, and then tore into them. It was as if he had never eaten anything in his life before, except like garbage, which might have been the truth. I don't think the landlady ever gave anything but garbage, but he ate all the hamburgers, almost all at once, making sounds in his throat like a woman. Then when he finished the meat, the hamburger, and tried to eat the paper too, he sat down and smiled. I think he smiled. I know cats do. It was a very gratifying few moments. Then bam, he snarled and made for me again. But he didn't get me this time either, so I got upstairs and I lay down on my bed and started to think about the dog again. To be truthful, I was offended and I was damn mad too. It was 6 perfectly good hamburgers with not enough pork in them to make it disgusting. I was offended. But after a while, I decided to try it for a few more days. If you think about it, this dog had what amounted to antipathy towards me. Really, and I wondered if I mightn't overcome this antipathy. So I tried it for 5 more days, but it was always the same. Snarl, sniff, move, faster stare, garble, rah, smile, snarl, bam. Well, now by this time, Columbus Avenue was strewn with hamburger rolls, and I was less offended than disgusted, so I decided to kill the dog. I didn't succeed. The day I tried to kill the dog, I bought only 1 hamburger and what I thought was a murderous portion of rat poison. When I bought the hamburger, I asked the man not to bother with the roll. All I wanted was the meat. I expected some reaction from him like, "We don't sell hamburgers without rolls," or "What do you want to do, eat it without your hands?" But no, he smiled benignly, wrapped up the hamburger in wax paper and said, "A bite for you, pussycat." I wanted to say, "No, not really, it's part of a plan to poison a dog, I know, but you can't say a dog, I know, without sounding funny." So I said, a little too loud, I'm afraid, and too formally, "Yes, a bite for my pussycat." People looked up. It always happens when I try to simplify things. People look up. But that's neither here nor thither. So on my way back to the rooming house, I needed the hamburger and the rat poison together between my hands. At that point, feeling as much sadness as disgust, I opened the door to the entrance hall, and there was the monster, waiting to take the offering and then jump me. Poor bastard, he never learned the moment he took to smile before he went for me, gave me enough time to get out of the range. But there he was, malevolence with an erection. Waiting, I put the poison patty down, moved towards the stairs and watched. The poor animal gobble the food down as usual, smiled, which made me almost sick, and then bam. But I sprinted up the stairs as usual, and the dog didn't get me, as usual. It came to pass that the beast was deathly ill. I knew this because he no longer attended to me, and because the landlady sobered up. She stopped me in the hall on the same evening of the attempted murder and confided in the information that God had struck her puppy a surely fatal blow. She had forgotten her bewildered lust, and her eyes were wide open for the first time. They looked like the dog's eyes. She sniveled and implored me to pray for the animal. I wanted to say to her, "Madam, I have myself to pray for. The colored queen, the Puerto Rican family, the person in the front room who I've never seen, the woman who cries deliberately behind her closed door, and the rest of the people in all rooming houses everywhere. Besides, madam, I don't understand how to pray." But to simplify things, I told her I would pray. She looked up. She said that I was a liar and that I probably wanted the dog to die. I told her, and there was so much truth there, that I didn't want the dog to die. I didn't. And not just because I'd poisoned him. I'm afraid that I must tell you I wanted the dog to live so I could see where our relationship would go from here. Please understand that this sort of thing is important. You must believe me, it is important. We have to know the effect of our actions. Well, anyway, the dog recovered. I have no idea why, unless he was a descendant of the puppy that guarded the gates of hell, or some such resort. I'm not up on my mythology. Are you? At any rate, and you've missed the $8,000 question, Peter, and at any rate, the dog removed his health. The landlady recovered her thirst and in no way altered by the Bow Wow's deliverance. When I came home from a movie that was playing on 42nd Street, a movie I'd seen, or one that was very much like one, or several that I'd seen, after the landlady told me Puppykins was better, I was so hoping for the dog to be waiting for me. I was, well, how do you put it, enticed, fascinated? No, I don't. I was heart-shatteringly anxious to confront my friend again. Yes, friend, that's the only word for it. I was heart-shadowing, etc., to confront my doggy friend again. I came in the door and advanced, unafraid, to the center of the entrance hall. The beast was there, looking at me, and, he looked better for his scrape with an... I stopped. I looked at him, he looked at me. I think we stayed a long time that way. Still. Stone statue, just looking at one another. I looked more into his face than he did into mine. I mean, I can concentrate longer into a dog's face than a dog can concentrate into my face or anybody else's face. But during that 20 seconds or 2 hours, we made contact. Now here's what I wanted to happen. I love the dog now, and I wanted him to love me. I had tried to love, and I had tried to kill, and both had been unsuccessful by themselves. I had hoped, and I don't really know why I expected the dog to understand anything, much less my motivations. I hoped the dog would understand. It's just that if you can't deal with people, you have to make a start somewhere. With animals, don't you see, a person has to have some way of dealing with something. If not with people, something. With a bed, with a cockroach, with a mirror. No, that's too hard. That's one of the last steps. With a cockroach, with a carpet, a roll of toilet. No, not that either. That's a mirror too. Always check for bleeding. You see how hard it is to find things? With a street corner and too many lights, all colors reflecting on the oily, wet streets, with a wisp of smoke with porno, with graphic playing cards, with a strong box, without a lock, with love, with vomiting, with crying, with fury because the pretty little ladies aren't pretty little ladies, with making money with your body, which is an act of love, and I could prove it, with howling because you're alive, with God, how about that, with God who is a colored queen who wears a kimono and plucks his eyebrows, with a woman who cries with determination behind a closed door, with God who, I'm told, turned his back on the whole thing some time ago, with someday, with people with an idea, a concept, and wherever better, in this humiliating excuse for a jail, where better to communicate one single, simple-minded idea than in an entrance hall? Where? It would be a start. Where better to make a beginning? To understand and just to possibly be understood. A beginning of an understanding than with a dog. Just that, a dog. A dog, it seemed like a perfectly sensible idea. Man is a dog's best friend, remember? So the dog and I looked at each other, I longer than the dog, and what I saw then has been the same ever since. Whenever the dog and I see each other, we both stop where we are. We regard each other with a mixture of sadness and suspicion. And then we feign indifference, we walk past each other safely. We have an understanding. It's very sad, but I am not a lamb, but I will sweep, 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 curl and lay all at your feet. We walk past each other safely. We have an understanding. It's very sad, but you'll have to admit that it is an understanding. We had made many attempts at contact, and we had failed. The dog has returned to garbage and I to solitary but free passage. I have not returned. I mean to say I have gained solitary free passage, if that much further loss can be said to be gain. I have learned that neither kindness nor cruelty by themselves, independent of each other, creates any effect beyond themselves. And I have learned that the two combined together at the same time are the teaching emotion. And what is gained is loss. And what has been the result? The dog and I have attained a compromise. More of a bargain, really. We neither love nor hurt because we do not try to reach each other. One was trying to feed the dog an act of love, and perhaps was the dog's attempt to bite me not an act of love? If we can so misunderstand, well then why have we invented the word love in the first place? A story of Jerry and the dog. Thank you all. Make sure to stay for the last act. Beaver structures beavers make? Beavers?
It's like dam, but we.
Mm-hmm.